Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along to the Sunday edition of The Locker Room. I hope you're all well and having a very good weekend. My name is Graham Duffy. I'm here till 5 o'clock. Hopefully, maybe joined by Dave Smith later on, but we'll soon see. I'm going to review the games that happened at the weekend, like yesterday in the Premier League, maybe touching the Championship as well, and also look back at the games from today. There is one game currently ongoing at Celtic Park, and it is currently Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. And it's a very, very long way back for Aberdeen, I'm going to be honest, because they are up against it. At the moment, Celtic lead by 2-0. The opening goal by Yang in the 8th minute. Really good play down the left-hand side from Lewis Palmer. Ball into the box. I think Belarus Aberdeen goalkeeper's got to do better, but unfortunately he doesn't do, and Yang is there to finish it. 7 minutes later, it's a goal from Kyogo, and again, it's great play down the right-hand side again by Yang, who's been very impressive so far, I have to say. He's been excellent on that right-hand side in place of Maeda. He manages to put a little ball into the box for Matt O'Reilly. O'Reilly pulls it back, and there's Kyogo doing what Kyogo does. And after 30 minutes, it is Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0, and I don't see any way back for Aberdeen. They can't get out. Celtic are completely dominant, and it could be more. It could be 3 or 4. Kyogo had a chance after 3 minutes that was really well saved by Belarus, but it could be a lot more, and you've got to feel that Aberdeen are going to be in for a bit of a tough time here. They can't really get out. I'm looking at Barry Robson just now, whose kind of face says it all on the screen here. They just can't get out. You know, Celtic are just absolutely hammering the door here, and I do think that there'll be more goals in this game for Celtic. But currently, as I say, after half an hour, it is Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0, and very comfortable. Another comfortable win earlier on today was at the Tony Macaroni Stadium, where it was Livingston 0, Rangers 2. I'll get to the games from yesterday as well later on, but I will start with that game from earlier on today. Livingston look very, very poor. I'm going to be honest, I'll get to them shortly. But Rangers are very comfortable. They won the game by 2-0. A goal in 26 minutes from Cyril Dessers. Took his goal reasonably well, maybe a bit of deflection, but he scored. And then a penalty of 75 minutes from James Tavernier, but that doesn't really tell the story of the game. I had hoped that today I wouldn't have to talk about VAR, but I'm going to because I got involved today and yesterday. But yeah, it was a very easy win for Rangers. I thought they would lose. Chance for Celtic here, cleared away by Aberdeen. I thought they would get beat Livingston, but I thought they might have offered a little bit more being at home, but they were just so poor. Again, there was nothing about Livingston that I thought, I think they're going to struggle this season. I said that on Friday. I think they're going to go down now. But Rangers were very comfortable under the new manager, Philip Clement. It is now played 7 in all competitions. They've won 6, drawn 1, and lost none. And I don't think they'll get an easier game than they did today, because they were so dominant right from the start. I thought Tom Lawrence looked really good. Even though I've probably had a go at Dessers before on this show, I thought he looked okay. He ran him behind a few times. They held the ball up really well. I thought he was okay today in place of Danilo, who came off the bench later on. But Rangers are just so comfortable. You know, they never really got a third gear, I don't think. They didn't have to. But they were just very dominant. It's a game you were just never thinking that Livingston was going to score in this game. A Livingston side that now has failed to. They've only scored 1 goal in 5 games. They never looked like they were going to add to that today at any point in the game. But Rangers so far, going into this game today before Celtic played, they were only 5 points behind. They're 5 points behind now going into the Celtic game here, but Celtic are stretched that lead. But Rangers are going to come on, do look a better side now. They look a bit more organised. They look like they've got a bit more energy and a bit more desire about them. I still believe, for me, that Sima is such a massive player for them. And I didn't think he was great today, but he looks a massive threat into the place. And I just thought that Rangers today all over the park were far too good. Afternoon, Gregor, you'll be delighted after that result yesterday, which I'll get to very shortly. But yeah, Rangers were just so comfortable. They were in complete cruise control. There were decisions in that game that I'm going to get to just now, because there was a couple of contentious decisions. So the first one is in 15 minutes. It's a free kick from Tavernier on the right-hand side, plays into the box. Dessers goes for it. He is offside. Shamal George obviously is blinded by Dessers in front of him. He then kind of drops it. It goes to the back post. It's laid back, and Goldson puts it in. but it was clearly offside. It took a bit longer than it needed to show that it was offside, but VAR does get that right because clearly Dest is interfering with play, so it's clearly an offside decision for me, and they got that one right. Where they go wrong is on 22 minutes. And I will say as well, I thought Ross McCausland was excellent today. I thought he caused a lot of problems on that right-hand side. He is so direct. He is very young, but he's so direct. He's quick. He doesn't show any fear. He always drives at his defender. But for me, it's a dive. It's a blatant dive. So the ball gets played into the box. He is going through. Shamal George comes out, puts his hands down. But as you can clearly see, McCausland is going down before there's any challenge there. There is no challenge. George doesn't do anything wrong. McCausland, actually, as mentioned during the commentary, his feet just collapse under him, which is a dive. Call it what it is, because that's what it is. But I don't understand why VAR has not told Stephen McLean to go and look at the monitor, because if he does, he will surely see it's a dive. It doesn't get given. Instead, the penalty gets given, and justice was done because James Tavernier hits the post. But it was a dive. Plain and simple, it's a dive. McCausland is a very good player, but it's not. I heard during commentary that Kenny Miller called it soft. Call it what it is. Just be honest and say, look, that's a dive. It was a dive. And thankfully justice was done because he missed the penalty. But it was a really poor call. VAR should have called that back and said, and I don't even know. For me, I don't even think you've got to say to the referee, come and look at that. All you've got to say is, mate, that's a dive. It's a booking for diving and it's not a penalty. But the fact that he doesn't even get called to the monitor, I think is so poor. And this is where, I don't want to talk about this, but I'm going to. There's been a lot of talk recently. There was a lot of talk yesterday on the radio about would you keep VAR or would you bin it? Now, I've always said that for me, VAR is not the issue. VAR's the technology. It's the referees and officials that use it that are the problem. Because 1 week you're getting a penalty that's not a penalty, and the very next week you're getting the same thing, the same exact thing that's then given a penalty. So it's too inconsistent for me, and that's where the problem lies. Inconsistencies. And again, I just think that VAR in this McCausland one got it wrong. And, the first half was, there wasn't really a lot to write home about. It was just very comfortable. Livingston never offered anything. I'm looking at Livingston going forwards, and like I said, they've only scored 1 goal in 5 games, and they just offer nothing. You think at home on that pitch that everyone talks about, they would offer more of a threat. You'd always talk about the fact that Livingston, they've got an identity under Martindale. You know what they're going to do. They're going to make it difficult. They're going to be in your faces. Going to make it hard to beat. I don't think they're doing that now. They are so easy to play against, and they look a very poor side. I said it weeks ago on the show. When they came to Tynecastle, they're one of the worst teams I've seen at Tynecastle. They were just so defensive and so poor. Celtic are through here. Kyogo's got a chance. Cuts it back. He's looking for options. Goes for the shot, and it's cleared away. But Livingston just looks so devoid of any confidence just now. You look at their strikers, Bruce Anderson, Joel Newbley, Curtis Guthrie, and Stephen Bradley. There's not a lot of goals in that team. And that's where the issue lies for Livingston. I think defensively at times they look okay. The midfield, I think they work really hard. I'm a big fan of Scott Pittman. And I really like James Penrith on the left-hand side. But going forward, they've not got a threat at all. And today, I don't think Jack Butland will have an easier game than that, because they were just offering nothing. Gregor says we had a brilliant game yesterday, 4-0. Now we're 5th. We're doing really well this season. You are indeed, mate, and I'll get to Dundee very, very shortly, because Dundee, for me, I think if anyone had that on their coupon, that was a coupon buster, because that was incredible what Dundee did yesterday. And I'm sure if Mazzolino, our St Mirren pals, watching this, I don't know if you're watching this now, but yeah, that was just incredible what Dundee did yesterday. But fair play to Tony Docherty, 5th in the league, absolutely incredible. But yeah, I just thought Rangers were so comfortable. Second half very much followed the kind of same pathway. Livingston made a change. They brought Jason Holt on, who I do like in midfield, but didn't make a lot of difference. It's still the same. They didn't really offer any threat. They never really got on the balls in behind for Newbley or Anderson to run onto. There was one moment in the second half where Penrith put a really good ball in the box, and there's nobody there. And that's the issue. They don't put enough balls. They don't put enough bodies in the box, Livingston. And that's the big issue they've got. If you don't fill the box, you're not going to score goals. So yeah, a massive letdown for Livingston. But Rangers eventually did add a second goal And I think it probably it was a penalty. I know that you can't really jump with your hands by your sides, but it does come off Michael Devlin's arm when the cross comes in the box. So I think VAR did get that right. Colin McLean at the monitor and giving the penalty did get that right. There was another one as well, actually, I forgot to mention as well, where there's a foul. I think it was given by Sima. I think it might have been harsh. In the first half, actually, McCausland just put the ball in the net, but it was given as a foul by Sima. I think that's slightly harsh. I don't think there's much in that. He is getting pulled as well. There wasn't much in that for me, but in the end, it's not made a massive, massive difference because Rangers won the game very comfortably. And like I said, they went in after that game, and this Celtic game today, the Rangers went in 5 points behind Celtic, but Celtic are cruising this game. I'm watching it here in Celtic. It's just constant Celtic attack. Aberdeen can't get out. Majowski has been isolated quite a bit. Aberdeen put men behind the ball. It's just wave after wave of Celtic attack, and you do feel that a third goal is coming. I mean, to be 2-0 down after 15 minutes, you are wondering what's this going to end. Have a chance for Celtic. Great save by Kellaroos. Fantastic save from Kellaroos. It's a really good ball at the box. And again, it's that left-hand side. And it's Lewis Palma again. Really, really good ball at the box. It's an excellent effort. I think it's by Home, I think it is. And it's a great save by Ruth over for a corner kick. But you do feel a third goal's coming. Celtic are just completely dominant here. It was Home that had the chance. You do feel a third goal's coming here for Celtic. Aberdeen, good play again. Cuts it back. Defended well by Aberdeen there. But it's just constant wave after wave for Celtic attack. But yeah, Rangers very comfortable. Like I said, I think Clement so far has done a decent job. 6 wins out of 7 so far in all competitions. And they look like they are a better side now. Now, considering this is a Michael Beale side, I think what he's getting out of that squad is far more impressive. They look a better unit just now. I know folk will look at it and say, well, they're getting a lot of penalties. But I suppose you look at that and say, well, they're in the box a lot, though. So maybe that's why they're getting them. But yeah, I mean, the Rangers were just so comfortable today. They will have harder tests than that, don't get me wrong, because Livingston offered absolutely nothing. And after the international break, I think one of the biggest games so far this season, to be honest, is at Pittodrie, where Aberdeen take on Rangers on the Sunday. So that's a huge, huge game. That's going to be a huge test for Clement and Rangers. Pittodrie on a Sunday afternoon, and Aberdeen have already beat Rangers this season at Ibrox. I know it's under Michael Beale, but they'll fancy their chances at Pittodrie. So I think that could be a very difficult test for Clement. But they did show today that they've got different ways of winning. Obviously they beat Dundee 5-0. Sorry, Gregor. But they've shown that they can win different ways. Today it wasn't really a battle, which I expected. I genuinely thought Livingston would make that a difficult game today. I didn't expect them to win, but I thought they'd at least make it difficult for Rangers. And they didn't. It was just so easy. And I don't think Rangers will get an easier game all season. But yeah, they were just so... I think the word I would use today for Rangers is professional. They got the job done very comfortably. Could have won by probably 3 or 4 more. And as I say, Jack Butland will not leave it as an easier game all season because Livingston offered nothing. But on Livingston, they look just a very, very poor side. I spoke in one of the group chats that were on the locker room earlier on. And I genuinely think, if I look at St Johnstone, they've now picked up 7 points in the last 3 games. And I can see an identity under them now. I can see that they've actually got something about them. They've also got guys like Nicky Clark, Graham Carey, Stevie May, Chris Kane. They've got threats going forward. Now, Craig Levene's got his first win yesterday, which I think they did probably just about deserve, and we'll get to that later as well. But they've got an identity, and St Johnstone are off the bottom of the table now. Livingston are bottom. And their next game after the break is St Mirren away. Now, St Mirren will be smarting after that hammering yesterday. And especially in Paisley, St Mirren are a good side. So I think it's going to get a lot worse for Livingston. I just don't see anything about them. I don't see an identity. I don't see a style of football. And worryingly, I don't see where the goals are going to come from. Because Nuble's not scoring enough. Anderson's not scoring enough. I don't think Guthrie scored this season. So it's a worry for Livingston. And I think they've got to win ugly. If they can win a game 1-0 with the ball coming off somebody's backside, I think they'll probably take it. They just need to win somewhere. But I don't see where that's coming from because they look a very, very poor side. And I said previously, I like David Martindale. It's another great save from Kelly Roos. 2 minutes to go at half time here at Celtic Park. And again, it's Lewis Palmer, who has been outstanding for Celtic. He really has. It's a great curly effort. And it's a good save from Kelly Roos, tipped over the bar. But like I say, it's just constant Celtic pressure. It's just total Celtic pressure. And I do think that at some point in this game, there's going to be a third goal here. Because Aberdeen are not offering anything. Maybe a lot of folk didn't expect him to do anything coming here today. But they've offered nothing going forward. Absolutely nothing. As Lino says, hi Graham, heard you on Radio Scotland yesterday. I was only half listening and suddenly heard your voice. Yes, I was on. I was actually quite nervous about doing that, but I quite enjoyed it. And I think I've always said if I do anything, I'm going to be honest. If I'm talking about football, talking about Hearts, I'm going to be honest. And I think yesterday I tried to be fair and balanced in my opinions. And I've had a lot of good responses. A lot of folk have messaged me to say that they thought I did really well. And even my mum phoned me because she listened to it, which is good because I didn't swear. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Gregor McIntosh, you were on Radio Scotland. Nice. Yes, I was, mate. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, given my thoughts about Hearts, which I will get to very shortly. I'm going to resist the temptation to talk about Hearts next, because I probably should talk about Dundee against St Mirren. Sorry, Azalino. But yeah, just before I go back to that, I just want to finish on Livingston, because, like I said, they just look a very poor side just now, and I don't see where they're going to get a win from. And that is half-time at Celtic Park, and it is Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0, and it has been very, very comfortable for Celtic. Like I said, 2 goals in the opening 15 minutes from Yang and Kyogo, and it could have been more. I think Kelly Roos has done very well for Aberdeen to keep them in this game, but you do feel if this carries on in the second half, which I think it probably will, that I think this could finish 4 or 5. And I've been on Twitter earlier on before I came on here, and a lot of Aberdeen fans were raging at the performance, and I do get it. But I think Barry Robson has probably earned himself a bit of slack because he has done well recently. He's in a cup final. Performances on the park have been a bit better. And they were excellent. As we said on Thursday against Pauk, I thought they were brilliant. So I think Robson's got a bit of slack. He's not going to be judged on games against Celtic and Rangers, especially in Glasgow. But today they just look very poor. They look miles off it. But Celtic, on the back of that defeat, hammering really by Atletico Madrid, we did wonder how they would come back after this, and it's been very, very easy for them. As Lino says, you sounded good yesterday. Thank you very much. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully I can go back on again. Like I said, I try and be balanced, I try and be fair on anything that I do when it comes to football. So I hope I came across all right yesterday. But yeah, I've had a lot of comments and a lot of nice, positive feedback. So yeah, it was very good. But let's go. Like I said, I'm going to resist the temptation to go to Hearts, because I'll do that shortly. But let's go to the game that I think nobody expected. Dundee 4, St Mirren 0. And yes, I did actually say that for everyone that hasn't been paying attention. 4-0 to Dundee. A double from Amadou Bakayoko, a penalty from Zach Rudden, and a goal from Zach Robinson on 85 minutes. And Tony Docherty has said after the game that was probably about as near as perfect a performance as they could have got. I thought Dundee were outstanding. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, St Mirren, we'll get to them very shortly, but I think on Friday I said that I thought St Mirren would win the game, just because I think they've got a better team than Dundee. But fair play to Dundee. I thought from the first minute they were on it right for the start. I thought Bakayoko was outstanding. I've said numerous times I'm a big, big fan of Luke McKinnon, who again I thought ran the show yesterday from midfield. But Bakayoko, 2 goals. And I thought he was unlucky not to get a hat-trick in the end. But just his kind of physical presence, his link-up play, his pacing behind, I thought he was outstanding yesterday. And St Mirren just really couldn't match him. But Dundee, I mean, sitting 5th in the league, and I know that probably Dundee fans, and I think we've probably said it as well, when a team comes up from the Championship, your first thought is, can they... I think they'll be absolutely fine. I think they'll stay up quite comfortably. They're sitting 5th. They're sitting on 17 points. And I think they're going to be absolutely fine. I genuinely do think they'll be absolutely fine. They look a better side than a lot of teams I've seen so far this season, i.e. Livingston, i.e. St Johnstone. But yeah, Dundee were excellent yesterday. When Dens Park has kind of
busy like that. It's a really good atmosphere. And I thought Dundee were superb. Some of the football they played, the goals they scored as well. And I think it was highlighted on Sports yesterday. If you look at the fourth goal, the very last one, or sorry, is that Robinson's goal? But was that Robinson's goal? I can't remember. But there was a one. I think it was maybe the fourth. I think it was maybe the third goal actually. I can't remember when it was, but anyway. So I think you've got the guy picks it up in the middle of the park, and he plays it out wide, follows it on in, and scores the goal. I just thought Dundee were excellent yesterday. Happy House says, hello, lads. Hope you're doing well, Happy House. As Michael has said before, that is just the best name ever. And I've seen a good few. But you in relation to Funhouse? People won't get that reference, right? But I used to love Funhouse when I was younger. Pat Sharp with that big blonde hair and mullet and stuff. Great programme. But yeah, Dundee were brilliant yesterday. I thought Zach Rudden as well, really good penalty, and it was a penalty as well. But Dundee were superb yesterday. I just think they were on it right for the start. And I thought that St Mirren just couldn't live with them. They just couldn't live with them. And the fourth goal obviously rounds it off was that Robinson. But Dundee over the park just looked really, really impressive. And to be honest, I've been impressed with a lot of what I've seen of Dundee this season. You know, they've never really been hammered by anyone. They've always been well in games. And they've got a threat going forward. As they keep on talking about the back of Yoko and Rudden and stuff, they've got a threat going forward. And like I say, Luke McCowan for me just knits it all together. I think, I'm sorry to say this, but I think Luke McCowan's probably destined for bigger things than Dundee because he's such a talent. He really is such a talent. We're just showing the goals again here from the first half of the Celtic game. And I mean, if you watch it again, the first goal, like I said, it's a good play by Palmer down the left, but Kelleris has got to do a lot better than that. He comes out like Superman, gets nowhere near it. And it's a simple tap in by Yang. But it all comes from Palmer, who for me has been the best player in the park so far. But yeah, Dundee just looked really impressive. Happy House afternoon, Gregor McIntosh. No relation to Funhouse, Graham. I hope you get that reference, by the way, because I'm quite pleased with that. But yeah, I just think that Dundee were excellent yesterday, but they've now got to build on that. You know, at home, apart from the Rangers game, at home, they've pretty much been in every single game they played, and they played well in all of them. And I think at home, if Dundee can pick up points at home and then try and pick up a couple of points away from home, they'll be absolutely fine. Know that after the break, they've got Hibs at Dens Park. I think Dundee should fancy that. And I'm not just saying that as a jamble. I generally think Dundee should fancy that because Hibs, I don't think have been that impressive, to be honest. So I think at home, Dundee can definitely cause Hibs problems there. But these are the games you've got to be looking to win. You know, like I've said about kind of Livingston and stuff as well. You're not going to be judged on games against Celtic and Rangers, but if you can get wins against the likes of St Mirren, Kilmarnock, Livingston, then you can have a really good season. I don't think Dundee will finish in the top six, but listen, you just never know. The way this league is, it is so tight. You just never know what could happen. But I think Tony Docherty, for me, has been an outstanding manager for Dundee. Really, really impressed with him so far. And I like his interviews as well after games. I actually never thought of that. Erzolino says, Happy House, I guess you're a Celtic fan, so your initials are HH. See, I never thought of that. See, that just shows I don't pay attention enough. But if you are a Celtic fan, you'll be delighted with this performance because, honestly, Celtic have just absolutely hammered Aberdeen here. It's not even a contest just now. If it was a boxing match, you would just throw the towel in straight away. But yeah, I just think Dundee looked very, very good. I thought they were excellent yesterday. And as Tony Docherty said, just about the complete performance. And I think for St Mirren, I think for me, that's probably just a one-off. You know, I don't think there's anything to panic about. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. What I did find quite interesting was Stephen Robinson, because he basically said after the game on one of the other podcasts that I've heard earlier on, he basically said that kind of some of the media have talked St Mirren up and stuff about being a really good side in that, and they are a good side. But Stephen Robinson said basically his aim is to stay in the league, which I found interesting because I would have thought the aim for St Mirren really should be to be fighting for that kind of top six place. Maybe he's just trying to play it down, which, listen, is understandable. But St Mirren, for me, are in no danger of getting relegated. You know, they're still sitting in a very comfortable position in third place. I think yesterday, for me, I would put it down as a bad day at the office. But you've got to give credit to Dundee because Dundee were outstanding yesterday. So you've got to give a lot of credit to Dundee. Let's see if it's come up something here. Oh, Happy House isn't a Celtic fan. Who does support their Happy House? Come on, tell me you're a Jambo. I love you more if you're a Jambo. I'm English team Liverpool just got 2-0 up against Brentford through Mo Salah, who's second in the game. Woohoo! Unless VAR rules out, of course. But yeah, I think you've got to give massive credit to Dundee because I thought Dundee were outstanding yesterday. But I think I would just put that down as a bad day at the office for St Mirren. You know, you look at the game against Hibs where they came back from, to 2-2. And I think a lot of folk probably yesterday thought when they were 2-0 down against Dundee, well, they've come back before, they could do it again. But to be fair to Dundee, they never really let them. They kind of stifled St Mirren's attack. I thought St Mirren were a little bit kind of toothless yesterday, and defensively, St Mirren defensively normally very good. Yesterday they just weren't quite at that level. But for me, there's nothing to worry about for St Mirren. It's just one of these days at the office. But St Mirren, for me, I still believe. I think that fight for top 3 is going to be interesting because obviously we know Celtic and Rangers will be miles away from everyone else. But I think if you look at the other teams around that, there's not really much between us, I don't think. Between Hearts, St Mirren, Dundee, Killie, Hibs, Aberdeen. I don't think there's much of a gap there. So I still believe that anyone could get that third place. I'm hoping that after that result yesterday, Hearts can kind of, push on a bit. But yeah, I think St Mirren will definitely be in around that top 6 position. No doubt about that. And you know what? See if St Mirren finish in the top 3 and got European football. I think that would be incredible. It really would. And I think they deserve it. Gregor McIntosh, I think Dundee will qualify for Europe this season. Do you know what? It's a bold claim. And it is very early. But do you know what? There's nothing that would surprise me this season, to be honest. Nothing would surprise me this season because, like I said, that league is so tight. Happy House, a lifelong St Johnstone fan now living in Germany, so don't get to the games. Well, we are going far and wide on this show. We're in Germany as well. I was going to say Guten Tag, but I didn't want to sound like an absolute idiot. But yeah, a St Johnstone fan. Well, you'll be delighted. We'll get to that very shortly as well. But it's good to have a St Johnstone fan on. We don't have a lot of them. So yeah, delighted that we're going far and wide here. Angelino says, I'll be over the moon if St Mirren finish 5th or 4th. Again, I think that's not out with the realms possibility. I think there's a very good chance that you could finish in 4th or 5th. You're certainly top 6. I've got no doubt about that. I think you'll definitely be top 6. But if you can challenge for that kind of top 3, 4, there's no reason you shouldn't. I think you've got a very good squad. I think for me, the thing for both Dundee and St Mirren is come January, can you strengthen in certain areas? And I'm going to put this out there now to all of you, really. What positions would you like to see strengthened in January? Because we're getting quite near it now. We're only in November. We're getting quite near it. It's nearly Christmas. I've not got the decorations up yet, but I've seen some houses have. Saddles. But yeah, I think there's every chance that, for me, St Mirren will finish about top 4, top 5. And I know that I said I don't think Dundee will finish top 6. But do you know what? Again, I really wouldn't be surprised. If you can carry on what you've done this season, and if we play like you did yesterday, and like I said, I think for me, the important thing for Dundee is you win your home games. If you can even take, if Celtic or Rangers come to Tynecastle, to Dens Park, if you can even take a point off one of them, it'd be a huge, huge bonus. But I think you've got to look to win your home games and then try and pick up what you can away from home. But I think Dundee, for me, what I like about them is they look a solid team. They don't lose, really, apart from that Rangers game. They don't lose a lot of goals. I'm really impressed with what they've done so far. And I think a lot of questions were asked when Tony Docherty came in was he the right man? I think he's proven that he is. He's just getting left to do his own thing. And I think Dundee are in for a very, very good season. I think yesterday, like I said, I watched the highlights and I thought they were superb. I didn't really know a lot about Amadou Bakayoko, but I think he looks a really good player. He looks a really strong guy. And he's a finisher. You can see about the 2 goals he got, he's a finisher. And then, as I said, you got Zach Rudden, who I think was really good in the championship level for Partick Thistle, I think it was he was at. So I think, again, you've got a decent complement of players there for Dundee. Gregor, or at least I hope Dundee qualify, but I do think that we can do it. Do you know what? You've got to believe. That's the thing. See, when you're a football fan, you've got to believe that your team can do, you've got to believe that they can do the best they can, and I think Dundee will do that. But like I say, I was impressed when Dundee played against Hearts at Dens Park. Although I thought Hearts were probably the better team in the first half, or second half, I should say, I thought Dundee were very good, and obviously you got a great goal from Luke McCowan. And I actually never know. I never watched the highlights the other day because I was watching the Hearts game the other day, so I never noticed the goal that Luke McCowan scored from the free kick against Kilmarnock. What a free kick that was, by the way! Absolutely stunning goal, and that just shows how good a player Luke McCowan is. I've already said I think he's a really good talent, but I do worry if I'm a Dundee fan that a bigger team might come along and snap him up because I think he is too good for Dundee. But you've got a really good squad of players there, Gregor. I really am impressed with Dundee. And if you guys can get that, top 6 position, because I'm looking at the league table just now. So if you take Celtic Rangers out of the equation, which I think you have to do, you're looking at St Mirren sitting in 3rd on 19 points, Hearts in 4th on 17 points, Dundee in 5th on 17 points, Kilmarnock in 6th on 16 points, Hibs in 7th on 15 points, and Aberdeen are sitting are sitting in 8th on 12 points. So there's not a massive gap there. Aberdeen will obviously stay on 12 because they're going to get beat today. Motherwell also on 12 points as well. So, there's not a massive gap there. And all it takes is a couple of wins and you're right back up that table again. So it is very tight in there. So I think it is very early to say who I think will finish 3rd. And I'm not going to say it yet because I think it's too early. But you know what? I've always been a very, very big advocate of this, and I will say it again. I do believe that during the COVID season, they should have extended the league and made it an 18-team league, because I do think that playing the same team 4 times a season, sometimes only 3, depending on the split, does get really boring, and you could get somebody 6 times a season, depending on, obviously, the cup games as well. So I would have liked to see the league get split or extend it to 18 teams and get teams in the Championship up. The likes of Dundee United, the likes of Wraith Rovers, who may come up anyway, the likes of a Queen's Park or an Arbroath or something, just to make it a bit more interesting. But they had the chance, they didn't do it because every team voted for themselves, which I do get it. But I'd like to see the league extended. As they know, Joe Shaughnessy and Trevor Carson were good for Dundee yesterday. Last season, they were both St Mirren players. And I suppose when you go to a club and you play against your old team, you maybe think you've got a point to prove. And I thought Shaughnessy and Carson did that yesterday. Although, to be fair, Carson didn't have a lot to do because St Mirren didn't reel off much of a threat. But the thing is, you look at Stephen Robinson after the game, he didn't get really too down. He didn't get too agitated. It's just one of these days that you get. He can't be looking at that and thinking, oh, that's an absolute... I'm not a St Mirren fan, but if I'm a St Mirren fan, I'm not leaving that game yesterday raging, because I'm still thinking, we're still sitting 3rd. We've had a very good season so far. It's just one of these games. You're going to get them. But you've got to give massive credit to Dundee, because Dundee were outstanding. As Lino says, you will always find support for league expansion from me, Graham, 16 or 18 in the top flight. And I've had this discussion with Michael on that numerous times. I think for me, they should have done it during COVID times, because it was unprecedented. Hearts shouldn't have gone down. Partick shouldn't have gone down. There should have been no relegation that season because nobody knew what to expect. And I think that Neil Doncaster, well, I'm not getting him, but I would have liked to have Neil Doncaster just said, you know what? It's unprecedented. We're going to extend the league rather than have teams vote. Because what was going to happen when you did a vote? Teams are going to vote for themselves. Of course, they were going to do that. So I just think they should have just done it and extended the league. But that's probably a story for another occasion. But yeah, Happy House. Tommy Wright reckoned that if you picked up 15 points from every 11 games, you would finish in the top 6. Means 45 points for a top 6 finish. I think there's a thing in the English Premiership. I think it always seems to be that 48 points seems to keep you up. I don't really think that's the occasion in the Scottish League. I don't know. But yeah, I do think that for me, I always think, especially if you're a club like Dundee, St Mirren, Kilmarnock, it's always important for me to win your home games. And then obviously try and pick up what you can away from home. Because going away from home is far more difficult. But at home, I think you've got to try and win as many games as you can. So yeah, I think Tommy Wright might have a point in that. But, like I said, I think Dundee and St Mirren, I think at the start of the season, right, if you got 12 games in like we are just now, and you said to someone, what's the league table going to look like after 12 games? You'd have probably said Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, Aberdeen, maybe St Mirren, and maybe Motherwell. I don't think you'd have looked at that and thought, the way it is just now, Celtic, Rangers, St Mirren, Hearts, Dundee and Killie as the top 6. I don't think anyone would have thought of that. But do you know what? Fair play to all these clubs that are sitting there, because they deserve to be where they are. Second half has started at Celtic Park. We're about 2 minutes in, and as you'd expect, not a lot happened after 2 minutes. It's still very, very much all Celtic just now. Aberdeen trying to get forward and press a little bit higher up the park. But what happens when you do that is you just get passed about. But Aberdeen have got to try and offer more the second half. They are on the right-hand side with Leighton Clutson just now. Tries to get along the box, but it's blocked and goes out for a throw to Aberdeen in the Celtic half. So they have pressed a little bit higher, Aberdeen. But they just can't really get anything created. As I say, Majowski's been very, very much a peripheral figure so far just now. Looks like a free kick here is that a free kick for Celtic for a head knock? But yeah, like I say, I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far for Dundee and St Mirren. You know, I'm going to throw St Mirren there as well. I think St Mirren have done very well so far this season, and they have to bounce back now. You know, like I said, Dundee, after this break, they play Hibs, St Mirren at home to Livingston. I think that's a game that St Mirren will win because, as I said earlier on, before anyone came on here, Livingston, for me, look a very poor side. I don't see goals from them. I don't see a threat from them. And I think St Mirren in Paisley will be far, far too strong for Livingston. I really do. I just think that St Mirren will... I actually think they'll hammer Livingston. I'm going to be honest. They'll look to bounce back after that defeat yesterday. There's a bit of concern here on the park because there's two players down from Celtic and Aberdeen. It looks like it's just a head knock. But it is worrying signs just now. So obviously I think the stretch is coming on shortly as Liverpool go 3-0 up against Brentford, and it's Diogo Jota. This has turned into a good weekend for me. So you're seeing it here. Oh, it's a really, really bad clash of heads there between Rubezic and Kyogo. It's full intent. Both players are going for the ball, but it's a really, really bad head knock there for Kyogo. I'm just watching it here. He is moving about, so that's a good sign. But that looked a really, really nasty head knock there. Both teams going full bloody for it. Rubezic does nothing wrong, but it's a really, really bad clash of heads there. So hopefully they are both okay. Yeah, I'm just watching it here, actually. It is a really bad clash of heads. But, yeah, I think St Mirren, for me, will be absolutely fine. You know, they will absolutely hammer Livingston because, like I said, they look a very poor side. But let's move on now because I've got another few games to go. And I also want to talk about some of the Championship games. And also I want to mention Scotland because we've got a Scotland show coming up this Thursday. Scotland play in Georgia. And then next Sunday we play at home to Norwich, which will be a party atmosphere. Because Scotland are going to Euros. Don't know if you knew that, but Scotland are going to Euros. So, yeah, I want to talk about Scotland as well. But let's go to Fir Park, where yesterday it finished Motherwell 1, Hearts 2. A double from Lawrence Shankland, who now has 38 goals in 66 games for Hearts, which is absolutely incredible. Rubezic has been booked for that challenge on Kyogo, which I think is a bit harsh to be honest, because he's going for the ball. Maybe I've missed something there, but I thought it was harsh. But yeah, as Lena says, woohoo, I love the international break. Do you know what? I think, see, if you'd asked me months ago, I would have said, nah, hate it. But now I love it. And good news, Kyogo is back on his feet. So he is going off to be replaced by O. I mean, I don't think that's a yellow card for Rubezic. That looks harsh to me. He's going full blooded for the ball. I think that's very harsh, but it is good to see both players back on their feet. Kyogo going off to be replaced by O, but he does look a little bit dazed, to be honest. But yeah, just a clash of heads. But thankfully, no serious damage to either player, so it's all good. Indie Live, apologies about the feedback. Nothing we can do. It's the room PA. Don't know what that means. But yeah, so Motherwell 1, Hearts 2. I'm obviously delighted. There was a lot of pressure on Stephen Naismith before that game yesterday. He's been under major, major pressure from me especially. And I think yesterday was a massive, massive game. I said on Friday, it was a must-win game for me. And if we didn't win that, then I did feel that, you know, Naismith could have been sacked yesterday. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that he might have been sacked had we lost. Thankfully, we didn't. It was a very, very comfortable performance from us. I know that Stephen Rayside, our Motherwell colleague, was not happy with Motherwell yesterday, and I can understand why. I thought Motherwell were very poor yesterday. I was surprised that George Gent didn't play. I thought the biggest threat they had for me was second half when Brodie Spencer came on, who looked a bit more of a threat. But that first half, Motherwell didn't really offer anything, if I'm honest. I thought Hearts were very comfortable. I thought we dominated the game. And I just thought Motherwell, they had like Theo Bair, they had Wilkinson, Connor Wilkinson, and they had Miko Beereth up front. So they tried to play a front three, but it didn't really work. There was nothing really from Motherwell that I thought was worried about. And I think for me, Hearts were just so dominant. There was moments in the game as well from VAR that I'm going to talk about as well. But the first goal came after 27 minutes. Really, really good ball in from Alex Lady, who I thought was excellent yesterday. Really good corner kick. Frankie Kent heads it down, and it was a brilliant little finish from Lawrence Shanklin, doing what he does best. A little back heel at the net. Fantastic finish. And that set us in the way. And I thought, right, can we go and kill this game off now? Can we go and get a second goal and kill this game off? We didn't. But there's a moment in the first half. And this, for me, is a really poor decision. And this is where VAR has got to take a lot of the blame here. So there's a ball into the box, and Liam Boyce goes for it. I thought Boyce was actually a decent game yesterday. So Boyce goes for it. He's in the box, and he's caught about up here. Now, there's minimal contact, but there's still contact. It's a penalty kick. The referee is asked to go and look at it on the monitor. He comes back and doesn't give anything. He gives a drop ball. For me, it's still a penalty. Minimal contact, still a penalty. Now, that comment from Indy Live is from a different stream. The relative code. Oh, right. Okay, I thought they were talking about me. But for me, it's a penalty kick all day long. Minimal contact doesn't mean there isn't any contact. There was still contact, so it's a penalty for me. And then if you look at the one in the second half, there's a moment in the second half where Lawrence Shanklin is over halfway. He does the exact same thing. It's a high foot, and he gets a free kick given against him. So where's the consistency? Where's the difference in that? It was still a high foot for the Motherwell defender, so it's still a penalty for me. There's one in the second half as well, which we'll get to shortly. But for me, it's a penalty kick all day long. We are now 55 minutes into the game at Celtic Park, and it is still Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. There's not really been a lot to write home about the second half. Celtic very much comfortable in the second half, much more dominant, or dominating the game. Still Aberdeen really not much of a threat going forward. But the second half, like I say, for about 10 minutes in the spell, second half yesterday, I thought Motherwell did okay, but weren't really troubling Xander Clark. I don't think Xander Clark will have, to be honest, an easier game than that yesterday. As Lino says, funny to think that just 4 years ago, Neza was still playing and scoring for Scotland against Kazakhstan. I know, it is crazy to think that. And do you know what? I think I said this about a week ago as well on one of my Twitter streams that I did. The one thing that I thought I would get with Stephen Naismith as manager was fight in that team. And I hadn't really seen a lot of that. Yesterday was better, don't get me wrong, but I haven't seen a lot of fight. Stephen Naismith as a player was a horrible player to play against, as we saw it. He was always one of these guys that was snarling at his teammates. He was wanting to fight with everyone. He was constantly the referee. I've not really seen that from this Hearts team so far this season. But yesterday was a really good performance. Second half, I thought again we were excellent. And we do eventually get the second goal on 71 minutes. It's great play again. Benny Maringame, who I thought was excellent yesterday, wins the ball in midfield, plays it forward. It's really good play, actually, because Alex Lowry deliberately leaves the ball and it comes through to Shankland. And you know what? See when players go through on goal, i.e. like Cyril Dessers, see when players go through on goal and you think, they're not going to score here. I never got that thought with Shankland. As soon as he got the ball, I thought, he's scoring here. I was nearly celebrating already. He takes it around the goalkeeper and it's a really composed finish. And at that point, I'm thinking, 2-0, game's done. We're in cruise control here. Motherwell have offered really nothing. And then we offer him a lifeline about 7 minutes later. I think it's a bit harsh. It's a penalty given against Alex Cochrane for a handball, but I don't know what more he can do. The ball's blazed right at him. But I suppose when you look at it nowadays, these are penalty kicks. So I can understand what it was given. Blair Spittle scores the goal. And it's 2-1. And I think, are we going to Hibs this, to be honest? Thankfully, we didn't. We managed to hold out. But there's a moment in the second half as well where, again, we get a free kick way out on the left-hand side. It's played out of the box. Boyce goes for the challenge. Now, there's no challenge there. I don't know if the referee gives a push, but there's no push there. The ball then falls to Shankland, who is about to beat his man, and he's brought down. It's a foul all day long. I don't understand, again, how VAR has not told the referee to go and look at that on the monitor. because it's a penalty kick all day long. So we've been denied 2 penalties that should have been penalties that I guarantee those will be given next week. And in fact, all you've got to do is look at the penalty that was given for Rangers today, where there was no contact and McCausland gets a penalty. So this is where I get really, really frustrated. It's the lack of consistency for me that really annoys me. But thankfully, it didn't make any difference because Hearts did win the game in the end by 2-1, and deservedly so. And I think the thing I liked as well was the game management, because right at the end, Hearts have got about 5 minutes left or 6 minutes left, and Hearts just keep the ball down in the corner flag with George Grant, Lawrence Shankland, and Toby Sibbick, and it's really good game management for me. I've kind of criticised Naismith in the past for his game management, but I thought he got everything absolutely bang on yesterday. You know, he brings on Toby Sibbick in the second half for Alan Forrest because he was struggling against Brodie Spencer, who I thought was Motherwell's really only real outlet. I thought we defended very well against Mika Biereth. He worried me before the game because I do like Mika Biereth, but he really didn't get a lot of service yesterday. Theo Bair, again, I don't really see what he offers. I know he was at St Johnstone and his goal scoring ratio is not particularly impressive. So I'm quite glad that he was playing yesterday because I knew that he wouldn't score. But I know that later on in the game as well, they brought on Ollie Shaw, an ex-Hibs player, who again didn't really offer very much going forward. So Motherwell surprised me yesterday when they lined up. I thought they were, you know, Stephen Messenger before the game said it's a 4-3-3. And I thought I was worried looking at that team. But to be fair, Hearts are very comfortable. Very comfortable. Really impressed with it defensively. I thought somebody that I've criticised in the past is Kai Rolls. I thought Rolls was excellent yesterday. Completely dominated everything in the air. Was good on the ground alongside Frankie Kent. I thought we looked very solid defensively. But the main thing for me is I thought we had to bounce back after that Rangers Cup defeat last week, and I thought we did that very well. But we've got to build on that now, because after the break, we've got Craig Levein, St Johnstone at Tynecastle. What could possibly go wrong? But yeah, that should be a big game for me. And I think Levein, as I said on radio last night, I think he'll get a good reception because Craig Levein, for me, is still a club legend, which I know sounds mental, but he is a club legend for me. I watched Levein growing up in the 80s. He was a brilliant defender, absolutely fantastic defender. And but for injury, he could have gone to the very, very top. It's just injuries that stopped him. But I think he admitted himself that he made a mistake when he came back the second time at Hearts to try and take on the director of football job and the manager job. That was wrong, and he admitted that. But I think he'll get a good reception because he is a good guy. I hope they get beat, obviously, but I think he's a good guy. Happy House. Theo Bair wasn't getting a game at St Johnstone. He went on a free to Motherwell. Big, strong lad, but doesn't put it about. And I noticed that yesterday as well. He does look quite physical, but he just doesn't offer enough of a goal threat for me. There was one moment in the first half where the ball came to him, and he basically blazed over the bar, and that kind of summed him up. I think he's got like 1 goal in 35 games or something. He just doesn't look a goal threat for me. But maybe it's just a confidence thing. Maybe once he gets one, he'll then start to score. I'm glad that didn't happen yesterday, but he just doesn't look like a player that, if I'm a Motherwell fan, I'm thinking, this guy's going to do a good job for us. But listen, there's a long way to go. He's still young, but he needs to add more goals to his game. But yeah, I was really, really pleased with Hearts yesterday. Really impressed because that was a game that I thought we had to win. I will say though, and I said that last night as well, I'm still not convinced that Nace is the right man for the job. I still think he's not got the experience. But yesterday's a building block. And I don't want him to fail. This is a thing. A lot of folk will think I want him to fail. I don't. I don't want any manager of my club to fail. But when I see something, I'm going to call it out. When he gets things right, I'm going to praise him, like I'm doing now, because I thought he got everything bang on yesterday. But I've always thought for me that Stephen Naismith wasn't the right man. You know, he's now 17 points out of 36. It's not a great return, but it's not, it's not awful. But the main thing I think for me is we've now got Lawrence Shankland back to scoring goals again. Because a lot of Hearts fans that I know have been on my Twitter feed and been on group chats and stuff saying, Shankland's attitude looks all wrong. Shankland's not been scoring goals because he's not been getting chances created. Shankland yesterday was great. You give that boy chances, he'll score goals. I still find it a little bit, I don't want to say harsh, but I do still find it mental, which does sound worse, that he's not in the Scotland squad. you've got a guy like Jacob Brown in there who I don't see a lot of Jacob Brown. I'm not going to lie. I don't see a lot of him. But you've got a guy in Scotland who's scoring goals. That's now, I think it's 10 goals in all competitions this season for Lawrence Shankland. At this stage last season, he scored 12. He's still well on course to hit 20 plus again this season. And yet he's not in the Scotland squad. I just find it really strange. But listen, I'm not going to criticise Steve Clarke because the job he's done is magnificent and I'm delighted. But I'm delighted that Shankland's back scoring goals again because he's such a massive player for us. And I think if somebody was to ask me now, if an offer came in January for him from, say, Rangers, because then that might be where he would go, how much would I take for him? Now, folk might laugh at this, but I'm going to say I wouldn't be taking anything less than 5 or 6 million. He's so important to us, and he's the one thing that is very difficult to find is a goal scorer, and Shankland's a goal scorer. Now, I don't want him to leave at all, but if he's in a Rangers team or a Celtic team, I guarantee he's hitting about 30 goals a season, if not more, with the chances he get. He's that good a striker. So, yeah, I think, and a lot of folk at the start when he came in, and I've heard this myself, when Shankland signed for Hearts, a lot of Hearts fans said he's a championship striker. I never believed that. I was delighted when he signed because he's, for me, and I've followed Hearts for a long, long time, he is still, for me, the best striker we've had since John Robertson, who was just an incredible goal scorer. 27 goals against Hibs as well. Can't get better than that. But Shankland's the best striker we've had. We've had good strikers in the past. We've had guys like Mark De Vries and Stefan Adam and Gennaro Zifuk and guys like that, Kyle Lafferty. But Shankland's the best. His all-round game, his link-up play, his intelligence as well. So, yeah, delighted with Shankland. But just going into Motherwell, it's worrying for Motherwell. And I know that Stephen's mentioned this himself, but Motherwell look a very poor side just now. They're not playing with a lot of confidence. They don't look like they're going to, they've got 9 without a win now for Motherwell. And, they've lost the last 7 games. It's not looking great just now, as Stephen said to me yesterday. I don't know where they go from here. Well, I do know where they go from here, because after the break, their next game is against Celtic at Celtic Park. So, yeah, it's a worry for Motherwell. They won't get anything at Celtic. But again, you're wondering where the next win's coming from, because Motherwell at the start of the season looked really good. They're now sitting in 9th place on 12 points. So they are now looking in a bit of a battle for relegation. That might be harsh, Stephen. I'm sorry if you're watching this, mate, but you need to pick up wins very soon, mate. Celtic on the attack here, looking to try another third goal. Good ball in the box. It's pulled back. It's well blocked. Again, Celtic still on the attack here through Palmer. Good block. As Lino says, Shankland has been in the Scotland squad, so maybe Clark wants to see him doing more or prefers the look of Brown. He did look lively in a few minutes against France. Yeah, and again, I don't really see a lot of Jacob Brown because I do watch a lot of English football, but not the league that he plays in. But I want to see Shankland get more games for Scotland because he's a goal scorer. And if you look at what Scotland have got just now, we don't have a lot of those. I do like Che Adams, I do like Lyndon Dykes, but do they score enough goals? I don't think so. But listen, Scotland are going to the Euros, and that's all that matters. But yeah, Motherwell just now look bereft of ideas. They look like they're lacking a bit of confidence, and they just need to get a win. Like I said with Livingston, they just need to get a win off somebody's backside just to get 3 points on the board. That won't come at Celtic Park, let's be honest. But yeah, Motherwell looking a bit of a free fall just now. But for Hearts, I'm delighted. Really good performance yesterday. Sitting 4th in the league, we're only 2 points off St Mirren. So yeah, there's a long way to go. But if Hearts can play like they did yesterday for the rest of the season, then I'll back Stephen Naismith. 100% I'll back him. But we've got to keep building on that. Let's go to a couple of other games that were on yesterday. Let's go Happy House's side. Let's go to St Johnstone. A bit of a revival. 7 points in the last 3 games. And I thought yesterday it was very scrappy, let's be honest. They managed to win the game 1-0 through a great goal from Graham Carey. Fantastic finish, and he's got a wonderful left foot. It's a first win for Celtic on the attack here. Cleared. It's a first win for Craig Levein. And I think if you watch the game highlights, there wasn't a lot of highlights in the first half, to be honest. It was very, very scrappy. I think even Malcolm Mackay said that was very scrappy. But it was always going to be that way. Ross Kent, a bit of a fight for survival again just now. St Johnstone again fighting for the lives to get off the bottom of the league. And all that matters when you're down there is 3 points. Performance probably doesn't really make any difference. But I did think second half St Johnstone the better side. I thought they were very unlucky not to get a couple of goals in the second half. There was a great effort from Nicky Clark, an overhead kick. It was very unlucky that came back off the bar. But if you look at that St Johnstone side, you know, this is where I've got a degree of sympathy for. Chance for Celtic about post, good header away. I do have a degree of sympathy for Stephen McLean because he never had a fully fit squad to choose from, and now he's left. You've got guys back, you know, likes of Chris Cade, the likes of Nicky Clark, who was excellent yesterday, the likes of Graham Carey. So I do feel a bit sorry for him in that way. But I think, honestly, with a guy like Levine in charge, I said on Friday that I said weeks ago that I thought St Johnstone were going to go down. I now don't. I think you're going to get out of this happy house because I think you've got a good manager there now. And I think you've got a very good side there. The one thing I will say as well, on behalf of myself and everyone in the locker room as well, is I want to say all the very best to Graham Carey and his wife Rachel. I know that his wife is battling cancer just now. So all the very best to the family there as well. Never a nice thing to go through, and I hope they're getting strength from the community that have rallied around them. I think, you know, Graham Carey spoke about it yesterday, so hopefully they're getting strength from that. And hopefully, you know, I wish them all the best in this very difficult time. And it's probably fitting for me that it was Graham Carey that got the goal yesterday, and what a goal as well. You know, second half, like I said, there wasn't a lot of the game. So I just dropped my phone, which is never a good thing. It's not broken, thankfully. But yeah, the goal came with 71 minutes. It's a great bit of play as well. Really good cutback, and there's not a lot of space for Carey to hit that. And he can only put it one place, and that's top corner, and he does that. It's a brilliant, brilliant finish. And like I said, it is very fitting that it was Graham Carey that scored the goal. Fantastic, fantastic goal, and for me, it was deserved. I thought St Johnstone showed a lot of fight and a lot of spirit that I don't see from Livingston. So that's why I think St Johnstone might stay up. But it's a massive, massive win. But like I've said about every team so far, about Hearts, about Dundee, about Hibs, which I'll talk about shortly, they've got to build on this now, St Johnstone. You know, and at home again will be the games that I think they're going to have to win. After the break, they come to Tynecastle. So sorry, Happy House, you get nothing from that, I hope. But yeah, I thought St Johnstone were good yesterday. I thought they were thoroughly deserving of the 3 points. And they've got a lot of quality in there. If they can keep these guys fit, and again, someone I thought was excellent yesterday was Stevie May. You forget how good a player Stevie May is. You forget how good that laddie is. So much ability technically. He's maybe not got a lot of pace, but he's so good technically. He brings folk in at the game, and again, he's a goal threat. So if St Johnstone keep these big players fit, then I think they'll be all right this season. And they could even say, because again, you look at that kind of the bottom 6 just now as it is. So you've got Livingston bottom on 10 points. You've got Ross County second bottom on 10 points. You've got St Johnstone in 10th, 11 points. You've got Motherwell in 9th on 12 points. Aberdeen in 8th on 12 points. And the Hibs, who are sitting 7th on 15 points. So again, you've got 5 points between the team in 7th and the team in 12th. There's not a massive gap there. So again, it just takes a couple of wins to kind of propel you up the league. But St Johnstone got to keep that going yesterday, because they did deserve the 3 points. They probably missed a couple of decent chances second half. Like I say, I think having Nicky Clark back fit is a major, major thing, because he's a very good player as well. And I do think, like I said on Friday to Michael, I think the appointment of Levine makes perfect sense. I thought they needed a bit more experience in there. You could have gone down a different route and got somebody else in, but I think to bring in Levine, I think is a very wise move. He's going to get that team playing. He's going to get that team fighting. And, you know, after the game yesterday, he said that he sees more things to come from St Johnstone. And I do as well, having watched that yesterday. I thought St Johnstone were the better side. In terms of Ross County, they've now not won in 8 games. And I was speaking to our colleague Ross earlier on, saying, is he worried about Ross County? And he said it's not great. And it's not. They've got to look to win. They've got to start winning games again. But again, they just look like they've got a bit of lacking confidence. You know, again, they came back against Hibs at Easter Road, and Jan Dander was the base player that got them back in that game. But they just look like they're lacking that little bit of confidence. They look like they're lacking a little bit of steel. Defensively, like at times they look fine. But again, it's just getting that goal threat up front. I'm a big fan, as Ross knows, of Jan Dander. They rely on him a lot to create chances. I think they've got decent players. Simon Murray at the top end of the park and Jordan White. Liverpool 3, Brentford 0 full time. I've had a great weekend. Hearts have won, Liverpool have won, and my local team, Pennycook, came back from 3-2 to beat Socky yesterday. So I am delighted with that. Very good weekend for me, football-wise. 72 minutes gone at Celtic Park, and it's still Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. And again, there's not really been much in the second half, I don't think. Celtic, again, very much dominant. They've had a couple of kind of fleeting moments, but nothing major. Aberdeen keeping themselves in the game. But again, not offering very much going forward. They need to try and get Majowski in the game because he's not really had any chances, to be honest. So, still about, obviously, 70 minutes to go. But Celtic 2, Aberdeen 0. And Celtic look very easy, very good for the win here. I think there's a VAR check going on here, actually, at Celtic Park. I'm just trying to see what's happening here. I don't think anything's been given here, but I'm just trying to see what's happening. There is a VAR check going on here for a challenge on O in the penalty box. I don't think there's much in it, to be honest. I'm just trying to see if I replay. So I'm seeing it now. It's a challenge from Jack McKenzie on O. I don't think there's much in that, to be honest. They both go for the ball. I think McKenzie just gets there slightly quicker, and I think he clears it. But it is a penalty check for Celtic here, which again is lasting a bit longer than it needs to. I'll just keep my eye on this to see what's happening here. We are an hour into the show. I think I've done well to get through this, actually. And there is going to be a VAR check here. Willie Collum is going to the monitor. As you know, I don't understand the notion of English team, never have. I've always supported Liverpool, mate, since I was about 8 or 9, since my dad took me to a Liverpool game, and I've always followed Liverpool. That's why I support them. But Hearts always comes first for me. So Willie Collins checking the monitor here. Jack McKenzie goes in on O. I think it's harsh to give a penalty for this. I think the ball's going away from O. O tries to get the shot in. I think he's going to give a penalty for this. Yeah, it's a penalty for Celtic. So it's a penalty for Celtic on the 74th minute. A challenge by Jack McKenzie on O. And it is a penalty for Celtic. So a chance to go 3-0 up here and basically put the game to bed if it wasn't already. I just support an English team because I was taking it a game when I was younger. That's why I follow Liverpool. So it's a penalty for Celtic. They're just deciding who's going to take it. Happy House. St Johnstone won yesterday. My second team, Energy Cottbus, got a 90-minute equaliser to put them second in the league. There's nothing better than an equaliser or an equaliser and a winning penalty, a winning goal in the last minute. So penalty for Celtic. So it's going to be, who's taking this? Is it Home that's taking it for Celtic? I'll just stay with this just now. So a penalty for Celtic. It's Lewis Palmer who's been on the best player in the park with me to step up to take the penalty for Celtic, or stay with this just now. Palmer steps up against Kellerus and scores very easily at the corner. Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0, and this game is done and dusted. I think it was anyway, but really good penalty from Palmer. Sticks it in the corner, keeper dives the right way, but he's got nowhere near it. So Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0, 3 comfortable points for Celtic. Just watching it again. Yeah, right in the corner, no chance for the goalkeeper. But yeah, just going back to the game yesterday, like I said, St Johnstone, a really good win. But Ross County, I think, signs of panic at the moment, because obviously we know that last season they were in that relegation fight and they could have gone down. You know, we know what happened against Partick Thistle. They eventually came back and managed to stay up in penalties. They don't want to be in that position again, but it looks like they might be because they just can't win games. And again, I think the games at home are really important. As you know, I think it predates the Premier League. When I was a kid, people would ask who your English team was. When I was a kid, it was English League Football League One. I know it's a Scottish channel, but I'm a massive fan of English football. I think at times it does get boring because like Man City are just far too good. But as a Liverpool fan, I've been to Anfield a few times, and my wife, about 2 years ago, just before COVID hit, got me hospitality tickets to go to Anfield and sit in the hospitality bit for a game, and I loved it. Honestly, it was amazing. And my laddie wants me to take him to a Liverpool game, so I'm a massive Liverpool fan, but Hearts comes first. My lad actually said to me, if Hearts play Liverpool, who would you support? he didn't realise that Hearts had played Liverpool already in a European game in 2012, and I supported Hearts because they're my main team. But Liverpool are always my second team, as well as Scotland and obviously Pennycook. But yeah, so big problems for Ross County. They just can't win games just now. And like I said, after the split or after the break, they've got Kilmarnock at home. It's not going to be easy, but again, for me, they've got to win the home games. Ross County, they've got to win in these home games to give themselves a chance. I do think Dingwall can be a hard place to go. And if they can win that home game against Kilmarnock, they'll give themselves a chance to stay up. But yeah, Ross County just now look very, very poor and very vulnerable. But again, like I said, with the league being so tight and that kind of blob, as they call it, you know, anything could happen. But they've got to start winning games and winning games quickly. But for St Johnstone, again, really good win for them yesterday. And I do think Levine is a really good appointment, really inspired appointment. And I think he will now keep St Johnstone up. And I just hope they get beat at Tynecastle in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, really good win there. And another good win for Hibernian yesterday. And a much needed win as well, because there's been a lot of pressure on Nick Montgomery. But yesterday, Hibernian beat Kilmarnock by 1-0. The only goal from Josh Campbell in 36 minutes. Great play by Martin Boyle. Really, really good play from him in the middle of the park. Beating about 5 or 6 men, lays it onto Campbell, and Campbell scores. And I thought Hibs probably just about shaded it. Kilmarnock, I think, had a couple of decent attempts, but nothing really major. I thought Hibs were the better team all through the game. And again, VAR doesn't get involved earlier on. There was a moment in the first half where Martin Boyle goes down, and I think it's a dive for me. It's a definite dive. He wasn't booked, surprisingly. So yeah, I thought Hibs were the better team yesterday, and it's now 2 wins away from home in 24 games for Kilmarnock. They just can't win away from home. You know, all their results seem to come at Rugby Park. They just can't win. They just can't win from home. But in terms of Hibs, that was their first win in 7 games. As you know, says I watched some foreign games of a Scottish international involved, whatever. But yeah, it's the first win in 7 games for Nick Montgomery, and he's been under pressure, a lot of pressure, because they've not been winning games. Obviously, getting knocked out the cup by Aberdeen was a major, major blow. And in a game that I said last week, when we came on air, it was a game that I thought Hibs should have won. They were the better side, but just couldn't take their chances. And obviously, when Jack McKenzie goes down to 10 men, you're thinking Hibs will win this game now, but they didn't. They didn't take their chances. But yesterday, Hibs got the 1 goal that they needed, and I think they did deserve it. You know, look at that Hibs team, and I do think that there is good players in there. You know, like I said, I'm always going to be honest on this show. I'm not going to show any bias because I'm a Hearts fan, but there are good players in the Hibs team. I think the laddie Jai Tavares, who wasn't getting a chance under Lee Johnson's coming in, he's done very well. Again, he looks quite quick. He looks quite a decent threat. But I keep saying this to Michael, and I said this on Friday as well. They are too reliant on Martin Boyle. If Martin Boyle isn't scoring or creating, I just wonder where the chance is going to come from. And obviously yesterday it was him that made the goal for Josh Campbell. And fair play to Campbell, because he does well. And he's the one midfielder that seems to break from midfield and actually get in the box. And it's a good finish as well from him, to be honest. And I thought Hibs were the probably better team yesterday. Do you know what? I'm just going to... I know that this isn't to me, but Gregor's asked Azaleo if he watches El Clasico. Do you know what? I used to watch that. And it was one of the biggest games of the season. But it's got a bit boring now because it's not the same players anymore. You don't have the likes of an Iniesta or a Messi or a Xavi or anything like that. It doesn't have the same feel to me on El Clasico. I used to love watching them. I would set my alarm for them. I don't now because they're not quite as good games. Don't get me wrong, I still look out for the result, but I don't really watch it as much as I used to, which is a shame because I do like watching Spanish football, but I just don't watch that anymore. We are now 82 minutes gone at Celtic Park, and it's Celtic 3, Aberdeen 0. Aberdeen, like I said, they're not going to be judged in this game today, but they've really offered very little go forward. They brought on Duke to try and offer something go forward, but the game's done. You know, the penalty pretty much ended the game as a contest, but Aberdeen need to be better than this, to be honest. And like I said, their next game after this is Rangers at home. That'll be a game that I think they can look forward to and think we can win this game at Pittodrie with that crowd. But massive, massive games to come. But like I said, I do think that Barry Robson has to get a bit of slack cut to him because he's done a decent job recently. So, but go back to Hibs yesterday. like I said, I thought Hibs did well yesterday. I thought they were probably more on the front foot. And I think at home you'd expect that. I think when you're at home, when you're Hibs, Aberdeen, Celtic, Rangers, whoever, you should be looking to win these games and win them comfortably. And I thought Hibs, while not winning it comfortably, did deserve to win. Celtic on the attack, good on the left, ball cut back, nobody there. But I do just think that Hibs did deserve to win the game yesterday, and there was massive, massive pressure on Nick Montgomery. Like I said, they're now sitting 7th after 12 games on 15 points. Is that where Hibs fans really want to see their team? Probably not. But like I said, there's a long way to go in this league, and anyone can beat anyone on their day. So I think Montgomery he won't be delighted with the start he's had so far, but I don't think he'll be gutted either. But that was a massive win for them yesterday. I thought Kilmarnock would make it difficult, but like I said, Kilmarnock away from home don't win games. 2 wins and 24 away games is not good enough. So, it's another massive disappointment for Kilmarnock away from home. They've got to find a way to win it. They've got to find a way to win it away from home. Whether it's a formation change or whether it's doing something a bit different, I don't know, but they've got to win away from home. They can't keep just picking up points at Rugby Park and not getting points away from home, or they could be in trouble. So, yeah, a massive disappointment for chance here for Celtic. Oh, really poor effort there by Alistair Johnson. On his left-hand side, maybe not his best foot, but he places it well wide. But I think in terms of Hibs, I can see signs of improvement under Montgomery that I didn't really see under Lee Johnson. I can see what they're trying to do, which I couldn't really see under Lee Johnson. I can see they want to try and play in the front foot. They want to try and play pressing football. And he's trying to get them to play attacking football. I know that Hibs fans certainly talk about philosophy and playing the Hibs way. They haven't really done that yet so far, but I think there has been signs that they are trying to play a different kind of way to Lee Johnson. But it's all about winning games. And I was asked this question a while ago as well by somebody that said to me, would you rather Hearts win every game 1-0, or would you rather play attacking football and lose 5-4 every week? I would probably take the winning 1-0 every week because I want to see my team win games. But I would like to see a win with a style. Of course I would. We had a guy back in early 2000s called Shabalazov from Hungary. He didn't play good football, but we would win games 1-0 and we finished third and got European football. So I would kind of take that, but I would like to see my team playing good football as well. But you know what? I take a 1-0 win every week. And I'm sure the Hibs fans would take that game yesterday winning 1-0. And I think they did. I think they did deserve it in the end. Like I said, Josh Campbell, really good finish as well. But Martin Ball, who was the star of the show yesterday, he's just so quick and so hard to stop. When Martin Ball is at full flow, he's very difficult to stop. And I think if you can stop him, then you stop Hibs for me. I think Joe Newell's a good player in midfield. I do like to look at Jimmy Jeggo, who I think has one of the best names in football. Jimmy Jeggo, it's a great name. He sounds like a Bond villain, or he should be a Bond villain. But yeah, I think Hibs have got decent players on that team, but they just need to get some results together. And now they've got to build on that win yesterday. Their next game after the break is, as I said, Dundee away. That's a difficult game. Dundee coming off the back of a really, really good win yesterday. And they've got threats going forward. Like I said about Amadou Bakayoko and Zach Rudden, they've got a threat going forward. So yeah, I think Dundee have got a chance to win that game. But Hibs are going to go there and try and pick up 3 points. Try to see any more comments coming out of Scottish football, but there's not really a lot else coming in apart from the talk about the international stuff, which I'll get to very shortly. Celtic again on the attack as they have been for most of this game. We've got about 4 minutes left in normal time. I don't know how much added on time, probably about 5 or 6 minutes to be honest. But yeah, those were kind of the games yesterday. Celtic on the attack, great defending there from Rubezic. So at the moment, as the league table stands in the Premier League, Celtic are top, and they were on 32 points, but they'll now be on 35 points. I thought it was another attack there from Celtic, but nothing happened. So Celtic top on 35 points, Rangers second on 27 points, St Mirren third on 19 points, Hearts fourth on 17 points, Dundee fifth on 17 points, Kilmarnock in sixth on 16 points, Hibs in 7th on 15 points, Aberdeen in 8th on 12 points, Motherwell in 9th on 12 points, St Johnstone in 10th on 11 points and off the bottom of the league for the first time this season. And Ross County are 11th on 10 points, and Livingston dropping to the bottom of the table, and they are also on 10 points. Now, I'm going to get to the Championship very shortly, because that was a really, really important win on Friday night for Dundee United. But I want to talk about Scotland, because I think it's important that I do talk about Scotland. I want to give them airtime. So, Scotland, if you don't know, are going to the Euros. We're going to Germany 2024. We are going to finish second in the group, probably, because I don't really see Spain drop points in the last two games. But we've got 2 games to go. We played Georgia in Georgia, and we've not got a great record there on Thursday. And then next Sunday, we have got the party of all parties at Hampden as we take on Norway in the last game of the group, knowing that we've qualified. And I just want to say that Steve Clarke and the boys have been fantastic this season. I don't genuinely think that anybody, when this group came out, thought we'd qualify for this group. Maybe folk thought we might finish second, but nobody was really sure. But it's been a phenomenal achievement, to win those first 5 games of the group. As they know, we're the famous Tottenham, we're going to Germany, 100%. We're the famous Tottenham Army, and we're going to Germany. Yeah, just delighted, honestly, so pleased for Scotland. And for me, and I said this ages ago, the game that I thought we were going to Germany was a Norway game. When we came back from 1-0 down and won that game 2-1 with those 2 last-minute goals from Dykes and McLean, I thought, this is it, we're going. Because that was a really, really big statement win. I always thought when the group was drawn that Spain would win the group, and it was between us and Norway for second place. I didn't expect it to be as comfortable as it's been, though, but Scotland have been outstanding. Absolutely outstanding all through this group. Steve Clarke deserves a lot of credit. And we go into these last 2 games now knowing that we've qualified. And I think the Scotland squad that Steve Clarke picked, probably, and actually Dave mentioned it in the group chat as well, because I genuinely thought there was a chance for other players to get a chance. But he has gone 10 minutes of stoppage time added on at Celtic Park, by the way. And I suppose that'll be for the head knocks as well. So 10 minutes to go. Celtic on the attack again, like they have been most of the game, but it's cleared. Comes back to Matt O'Reilly. He plays the ball in, and it's well blocked by Aberdeen. But yeah, he's picked a squad that I think, as David mentioned earlier on in one of the group chats that I'm on, he's been very loyal to the team, and he's given basically the chance for players to basically get a standing ovation at Hampden for that last game. He has brought in Josh Doig from Hellas Verona, who probably deserves it, to be honest. I think, if I'm going to be honest though, I think Greg Taylor will start at left back. We don't have Robertson, we don't have Hickey, we don't have Kieran Tierney, but I think Greg Taylor will start just because he's done well when he's called upon recently. He's gotten a bit more experience. But listen, if Josh Doig played, I've got no doubt he'd do well. So it's a great chance. And I think as well, it seems to me to be very harsh, the fact that Scotland could win these last 2 games, have only lost 1 game in the group, and yet still not finished top. It does sound harsh. But listen, you're up against a team like Spain. It was going to be hard to win that group. But listen, if we can win these last 2 games, then it'll be a magnificent achievement for me. Gregor says, I've never been to an international tournament before. Neither have I. I would love to get to one. I genuinely would. It would be amazing to get to an international tournament. And 91 minutes on the clock, and Celtic have just added a 4th goal at Celtic Park. I didn't even see it. I looked up and I just saw the goal going on. I think it's David Turnbull who scored it. So Liam Scales gets him off in the back. Plays it out wide to Palmer again, who, like I said, has been outstanding. He lays it to David Turnbull, and it's in off the post. Kel Roos goes down very, very slow. I think I might be taking a deflection, actually. No, it's not. It's going straight in. It's in off the post from David Turnbull. I like David Turnbull. I think he's a really good player. He's very unfortunate he doesn't get enough games. But yeah, it's now Celtic 4-0 up against Aberdeen. And it's no more than Celtic deserve. It could have been a lot more than this. Celtic deserved to be 4-0 up. It could have been more. Aberdeen been very poor. Let's see what's happening here. Italy. As you know, I was too young back then, but in theory I could have gone to France 98, which was still a great achievement for me. But honestly, qualifying for this is magnificent. And qualifying for a second tournament under Steve Clarke, And I think you'll look to do better than we did in the last one. We didn't do ourselves justice in those games against Czech Republic and Croatia. The England game, we were great, but we didn't do ourselves justice in the home games for me. But I genuinely think that if you look at these last two games, chance for James Forrester, and he blazes it well over the bar. Celtic try to get a fifth goal here to just round it off in style. As you know, was Turnbull in the Scotland squad. I'm not actually sure. I don't actually know if he is, to be honest. I need to check that out. Gregor McIntosh, I was 16 during 2020. I'm now 18. God, I feel old. I feel so old. But you know what? You're better having this experience when you're young, I think, to qualify for these tournaments. I've not seen us qualify for enough tournaments, and I'm 45. So yeah, but I'm just delighted that Scotland are going to be there. But I think these next two games, folk will probably look at it and say, well, it doesn't matter if we lose because we're there. But I think what you want to do is end the competition on a high. You know, go to Germany and kind of obliterate that thought of, because we've been beat by Georgia before in Germany, we need to kind of end that hoodoo over there. And then the game at Hampden, that Norway game next week is going to be unbelievable. The atmosphere is going to be superb. It'll be electric, and it's a party atmosphere. I can't wait for that. But I can't wait for Scotland to... I've said it before that normally when international breaks come around, I can't be bothered with them. But now I actually quite like it because Scotland are doing well. And that's all I want to see is Scotland doing well. And I know that the draw for the Euros is on, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd of December. We might actually do a live show for that, a live reaction show, or even just do a live draw show for that. It'll be a great occasion. Happy House, I was 26 at Italian 90, now 59, still not old. You're not old, mate, definitely not old. And Italian 90 was horrible. Costa Rica, man. Oh, that still gives me nightmares to this day. Costa Rica. A game I thought we'd win. I think everyone thought we would, and we got beat. But yeah, this Scotland squad is a very good Scotland squad. It's a very tight-knit group. And I think if they can just do better, if we can get out of the group, but again, it depends on the draw. If we can get out of the group, it would be an incredible achievement. But I think what we've got to say, Steve Clarke has done an incredible job for Scotland. I know that there's still a lot of folk that I know that are still not massive Steve Clarke fans. I don't know how you can't be, because he's been an incredible manager for us. Obviously, he's not quite up at the standard yet of other managers that we've had in the past. Obviously, God rest his soul, Craig Brown. But yeah, as you know, time flies. The 90s was a great decade. It certainly was. I remember the 90s. I do remember the 90s. And I never thought it would be that long that we qualify for tournaments again. But unfortunately, it was. But I genuinely think the Scotland squad's got something about it. It's got a really good spine of that team. But again, it's about keeping players fit. Great ball at the box. Chance for 5, and it is 5-0. Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0 after now 96 minutes. And it's O with the goal. It's a magnificent crossing at the box on the left-hand side. And it's a really good header. And again, it's only what Celtic deserves. They've been very, very good today. And again, the man at the heart of it is Lewis Palma. It's a brilliant ball outside the right foot. Fantastic ball in. And it's a great header by O. I mean, he probably can't miss, but it's a great header. But Lewis Palma has been sensational for Celtic today. The best player on the park by an absolute country mile. And it's a really good header from O. And Celtic 5, Aberdeen 0. We wondered how Celtic would bounce back after the Atletico Madrid. We've just seen it. Very comfortable. As we know, we played Costa Rica in our away kit because the majority of Costa Rican population were watching on black and white TVs. Honestly, I've still got flashbacks to Costa Rica. That was horrible. I mean, we should never have lost that game, but maybe we did underestimate Costa Rica a little bit. Maybe we thought they were a bit better than we were. But you know what? Still a great tournament for me. I loved it. And I still remember as well, and this will bring back memories, because I still remember I went to scout camp all the way back then, and I remember playing, I don't know why I did this, but I remember playing as Toto Scalacci, who was the Italian striker, who I really liked. I think he scored just about every game during that period. And I played this, and actually I did all right, to be fair, but I wasn't as good. But yeah, honestly, these two games on Thursday, I think we'll be on a bit later on Thursday because it shows on before us. I know the game kicks off a bit earlier. We might be on at 10 o'clock on Thursday. And we're back on next Sunday. And that game 7:45. We're on at 10 o'clock next Sunday. So tune in for those Scotland shows. And obviously during the Euros as well, we'll be on for all those games as well. We'll do live reaction to those games as well. So tune in for those games. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Thursday because we can go into this game against Georgia with no real pressure. I would like to win these two games though, just to finish on a bounce. As we know, Scotland used to have a stupid arrogance that was decades misplaced. We were the best team on the planet 100 years ago and still thought we were up in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, I remember they could be in for a 6-year Celtic. Oh, it's through. Chance for a 6th goal, and he finishes it. What a performance this is from Celtic. 98 minutes on the clock, and it is Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. And it is with his second goal of the game, who came on, obviously, for the injured Kyogo. It's a great finish. I quite like doing these live reaction shows when I'm doing this. It's a great ball through. Defending maybe could do better, but as soon as O goes through, he's not missing that. Just try to see who plays it through. As a home plays it through. It's a good ball through. Defending can't get there. And once O goes through, it's only got one place. Celtic bounced back very convincingly from Atletico Madrid. Celtic got 6 goals past against Atletico. They've returned the favours against Aberdeen. Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. We've now got 99 minutes on the clock. 99 red balloons. I don't want to say it's about 99 red balloons in the park for Aberdeen, but I've just said it, so there you go. But yeah, Happy House. I was behind the goal that Costa Rica scored into it. It was a shocker. Wow. Imagine being there at that game. Incredible. But yeah, I think Scotland will go into this game on Thursday, like I said, with a lot of confidence. We know that we can go to Georgia and get a victory. And it's all over. It's all over at Celtic Park, and it is finished Celtic 6, Aberdeen 0. Excellent performance from Celtic. Absolutely blew Aberdeen away there. And Aberdeen had no answer to them. Very, very comfortable for Celtic. Gregor says, what a hammering. It was, mate. An absolute hammering. It could have been a lot more. I think, but for Kelly Roos, that game could have finished 8 or 9 quite comfortably. So Celtic have bounced back very well. And like I said earlier, Aberdeen now going into this break. They're sitting 8th in the league, which isn't maybe a great start. And their next game is Pittodrie against Rangers. They've got to bounce back from that today. You know, they've got difficult games to come. That's going to be a huge game, Pittodrie now. 2 weeks on Sunday, 2 weeks today. But for Celtic, magnificent performance. They play Motherwell at home next, which you'd expect them to win quite comfortably. But a massive, massive win for Celtic today. They bounce back very easily. But I am going to predict right now for Scotland these next 2 games. I'm going to say Georgia 0, Scotland 2. And then next week, I'm going to say Scotland 2, Norway 0. I'm confident. Scotland are going to get through. Well, Scotland are through, but Scotland are going to finish second very comfortably. And I've only lost 1 game in the group, and that was to Spain. And let's be honest, McTominay's goal should have counted. So we shouldn't have lost that game. So, as you know, Celtic back to scoring 5+ goals then. Oh dear for the rest of us. That's a good point, actually. And I've kind of mentioned this before as well. Celtic are only going to get better, and that's what worries me. Listen, I would love, apart from Hibs, I would love to see someone else winning this league, apart from Celtic and Rangers. But it's never going to happen in my lifetime, I don't think. It's never going to happen because no teams are consistent enough. And if Celtic and Rangers are struggling, they just spend money. And you can't do much about that. So I just think it's going to get a lot worse. I mean, I'd love to see a Leicester scenario where Leicester win the Premier League in England. That won't happen here. Unfortunately, Celtic and Rangers will just dominate this league for many years to come. It's been 40+ years that anyone's won the league. That will just continue. And Celtic will just get stronger. Unfortunately. As you know, clean sheets all round. Yeah, I think Scotland will keep clean sheets in these next 2 games. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. And I think the one thing I would say as well, these next 2 games that we've got, there's no Angus Gunn, there's no Craig Gordon, there's no David Marshall. So you are looking at Xander Clark, Liam Kelly and Robin McCrory being in goals for these games. I think it probably, I think it'll be Liam Kelly that gets the gloves. I think he played the first 45 against France, did okay. I just think Liam Kelly might get the gloves for these games. But it doesn't matter who gets them because we've qualified. But I'd like to see Zander Clark start, I'm going to be honest. But I think it'll be Liam Kelly gets the gloves for these two games. But yeah, I think Scotland are in a very good place, and I can't wait for the draw in December to see who we're going to get. I'd love to get England. I'd love to get England because I think we've got a chance against them in a competitive game, and they will be that arrogant. They'll think they can win. As long as they stop Jude Bellingham, got a chance. So got half an hour to go. And let's talk about the Scottish Championship. So the results this weekend were Dunfermline 1, Dundee United 2 on Friday night. Airdrie 2, Arbroath 0 yesterday. Inverness 3, Ayr United 1. Partick Thistle 2, Morton 1. And what a game. What a game. I should do a Kiss Kamara. Unbelievable, Jeff. At Hampden Park, where it was Queen's Park 2, Wraith Rovers 3. An incredible result. We'll get to that very shortly. But on Friday night, it was the Friday night game, Dunfermline against Dunfermline. And it finished 2-1 to Dunfermline. I think 2-1 to Dundee United. And I think they did just about deserve to win. The goals coming from, in the first half, Kai Fotheringham in the 37th minute. It was equalised by Owen Muffet for Dunfermline. But the winning goal was scored by Chris Mockery on the 85th minute, stretching Dundee United's lead at the top of the group, at the top of the table. And they did deserve it. It was a good game of football, though. It was very entertaining, as I do think the Championship is an entertaining league. I've said that before. I think it's a very entertaining league. I think it's very competitive. And I think United are the best team in it. Let's be honest. Happy House said, I think Clark said he was going to play Kelly in one game and Clark in the next. That actually makes perfect sense. You know, I know against France we did 45 minutes each where they played Kelly first half and Clark second half. I think it makes sense to give them both a game each. So you play, i.e., you play Kelly on Thursday and play Clark next Sunday. That makes sense to me. And it's good management, I think. I don't think McCrory got a lot of game time, to be honest. He's a decent goalkeeper, but I don't think he got a lot of game time. So, yeah, I think for me, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense. But, yeah, I thought United were very good for large spells in that game. I think Dunfermline worked hard. There were some boos at half-time, though, when they went in 1-0 down at half-time, which I did feel was a bit harsh. McPake's trying to do a decent job there. But Dunfermline are a really good side. And if you make mistakes against United, you're going to get punished for it. And they did that in the end with that goal from Mockery. But a massive win for United. You know, a lot of folk might have thought they might drop points there, but they've managed to pick up 3 really good points. And I think it'll be a matter of when, not if, United come straight back up. Because they've got a far stronger squad than anyone else in that Championship. And like I said on Friday to Michael, when you've got guys like Louis Moult and Tony Watt and Glenn Middleton in that league, they're just too strong. They are far too strong. So, yeah, I think United will come straight back up. But Dunfermline, I think, are going to do all right this season. I think at the moment, they are sitting 5th in the league, which isn't bad. You know, it's not a bad place to be. And they've got a lot of decent players in the team. I mean, I still laugh at the fact they've got Craig Whiten in their team, who was at Hearts. And he wasn't highly rated by Hearts, but he did score in the semi-final in 2020 in the COVID semi-final against Hibs. So he gets a legendary status from me. But I think Dunfermline have got decent players in the team. You know, Owen Muffet scored 2 against Morton the week before. He's then scored on Friday night. So they've got a decent team there, but they just need to get a bit more consistency in their game. And they have to win at Eastern Park. They've got to win the home games. How many times have I said that so far tonight? They've got to win the home games. But United are going to be... I think United will win this league by at least 10 points, if not more. Because they're just too good a side. You've got too much quality in that side. And I think I like Jim Goodwin. I think he comes across really well. I think he speaks very well at the press. I felt sorry for him after Aberdeen, what happened at Aberdeen, and I felt sorry for him when he walked off the park at Easter Road and it showed you him walking towards his car in the Hibs end, and you just felt really sorry for him. And you kind of felt there was going to be a song coming on very soon. Lonely, I am so lonely. It felt like that. But yeah, I do like Jim Goodwin, and I think he's kind of banishing that now, you know, banishing that kind of thought of what happened in Aberdeen. He's a good manager. And I think at times certain managers just fit. And I think you've got Craig Levein. I think he fits at St Johnstone. And I think you've now got Jim Goodwin fits at United. And I think they'll come straight back up. I generally think they'll come straight back up and do it quite comfortably. But then the big thing will be, can they stay up? That's the biggest thing. Can they stay up? I think if they do what Dundee can do, comment here from Glasshoe I Johnny. What a ball in from Palmer for O, which I just mentioned there. It's a great ball in. Outside of the foot is a brilliant delivery. And like I said earlier, I think Palmer for me was the best player in the park from what I saw. He's been outstanding for Celtic. He's a really, really talented footballer. Again, 2 good feet, can go both ways. He's quick, he's inventive, he's got a goal threat in him as we showed against Motherwell. I think Palmer's been an absolutely brilliant signing for Celtic. And he's just given that. You wondered what they would do when Jota went to Saudi Arabia. Could they replace him? I actually think Palmer's a better player. And I think for me, Palmer right now is one of the best players in the Premier League, without any doubt. He looks a really, really good footballer. As we know, talk about Jim Goodwin, he was definitely good at St Mirren. I was gutted when he left, but we got a better manager. Aberdeen ended up below us in the table by the time of the year that he was sacked. Absolutely delighted. Poetic that we lose 6-0 against Madrid, then win by the same score today, which I kind of mentioned as well. You've kind of ripped off that scar and done exactly to Aberdeen what they did, what Atletico Madrid did to you. And to be honest, as I mentioned in the show, I think Celtic could have won that game even more, quite comfortably. They could have won that by double figures. I think Kelly Roos made some really good saves. Celtic missed other really good chances as well. So I think Celtic could have won that by easily double figures. Worrying for Aberdeen, though, because their heads seemed to drop at 3-0 down. So that was worrying for me. You never want to see that, your team dropping their heads. But yeah, Celtic were just so good today, so comfortable. And on another day, that is double figures quite comfortably. So fair play to Celtic. Really, really dominant performance. But yeah, United for me, Jim Goodwin, I did feel sorry for him. But he is a good manager. And he just needed that. He needed that chance, and he's got that at United. And fair play. He's done a really good job so far. And I think they'll come straight back up. But they've got to then stay up. And he'll probably say the same thing as what Stephen Robinson said. It's about staying in the division. And I think if they can add quality in the summer when they come up, they could do that. You don't want to be doing that again. Jim Goodwin doesn't want another relegation on his CV. So I think he'll do a good job, but they need to try and stay up when they come up. But the game of the day in the Championship yesterday was that game at Hampden. Queen's Park 2, Wraith Rovers 3. I mean, what a game. So Wraith Rovers were 1-0 up in 39 minutes through Lewis Vaughan. They then went down to 10 men. Ewan Murray got sent off in 61 minutes. Queen's Park fought back to go 2-1 up through goals from Jack Turner in 70 minutes and Rudy Payton in 74 minutes. But in the 8th to 9th minute, Jack Hamilton levelled for Wraith Rovers. And just when you think that the game's going to finish 2-2, it finishes at 3-2. Ross Millen scores a penalty in the 92nd minute to give Wraith Rovers an incredible victory with 10 men. And what a result that is for Murray's men. And I think I've said before, Wraith Rovers are a good side. And I think they've got every chance of coming up as well. But what a win. The celebrations at the end of the game, I think Ross Millen ripping his shirt off and running in the park. What a win. What a win for Wraith Rovers. And it just shows the fighting spirit they've got. To be a man down, to then be 2-1 down and to fight back. And not just hold on for the point, but go and win the 3 points. Huge 3 points for Wraith Rovers. And a massive, massive win for them. I feel a bit sorry for Queen's Park, though, because I like Queen's Park. And I was very vocal last season. I wanted them to come up. And I hoped that they would. Like the season before, where I hoped Arbroath would come up. But they're just, again, not consistent enough. And when you're losing 3 goals at home against 10 men, it's not great. It really isn't great. And I worry for them now this season. I genuinely do. They are sitting now. They're sitting 7th in the league. A long way to go, I know, but... Glasshoe Johnny says, totally agree. There's a lot of noise around Ibrox Way, just more undue self-hype. They always build themselves up for a big fall. Celtic continue to scalp them as usual. And that's the thing, as much as I think that, and I've said this before as well, and I make no bones about this, as much as I think that Rangers have improved under Philippe Clement, they've not really had an acid test yet. I think the European games they were decent in, but they've not had that acid test yet. I think they'll get that at Pittodrie in 2 weeks' time, and then they'll definitely get that when they play against Celtic. I still think, and I still believe very, very firmly, that Celtic's squad is far, far superior to Rangers' squad. And I think a lot will depend on what happens in January. If Rangers can strengthen, if they give Clement money, if they've got any money to spend in January, it's how he uses that money. And again, I think they're going to have to get into a few players as well that they don't really want. But I think Celtic have got a far stronger squad. They've got a far superior squad. And I think Celtic will end up winning the league quite comfortably. And I've said that to Michael before. I think Celtic will win the league quite comfortably by probably 10 or 15 points, I think. But it's up to Rangers to try and not let that happen. But I just think Celtic will go from strength to strength. And, winning 6-0 against Aberdeen. I know Aberdeen's record at Celtic Park isn't great. Nobody's record at Celtic Park is. But Celtic were very hungry today. Celtic were all over Aberdeen like a rash. And like I say, it could have been more. So I think Celtic will end up winning this league very, very comfortably. And they've got a lot of quality. Kyogo goes off injured. They bring on O, who scores 2 goals. And yeah, Celtic just look a very, very strong squad just now. I think they look really good defensively, although today they weren't really tested. And I keep saying it, that midfield, I know he wasn't playing today, but that midfield of Hatate, O'Reilly, McGregor is an extended midfield. It really is. And then you've got a guy like Luis Palma on the left-hand side who is outstanding. You've still not got Maeda. He's obviously out injured. They've got a lot of quality. So I just think Celtic have got far too much quality. Well, I was going to say Glasgow. I wasn't sure if that was true or not. I was going to say that. But yeah, honestly, going back to that game yesterday, Queen's Park against Wraith Rovers, what a result for Wraith Rovers. A massive, massive win. That is the rub, mate, that if Rangers have money for January, they shot the lead sacking Beelan, Hyde and Clement, which I think is a fair point, to be honest. I do think that the sacking of Beale is the right decision, because clearly they were struggling. But it is that thing about will they have money to spend and how much money do they have to spend? Because I think they're going to have to spend a lot of money to catch up with Celtic or even get close to them, to be honest. And I'm talking 20, 25 million, maybe even more. They just don't have I think Rangers have got a decent squad. I think they've got decent players now. We're going to say they don't, but it's not got a lot of quality in certain areas of the park, whereas Celtic, I think, do. So yeah, I think, had they brought Clement in earlier, maybe they might have done a bit better. But yeah, I just think Celtic are just far, far too strong. But honestly, what a win for Wraith Rovers yesterday. And Ian Murray would be delighted with it. But I feel sorry for Queen's Park. Like I said, to be 2-1 up and then not even get a draw out the game when you're against 10 men is massively frustrating. But they've got to learn lessons from that and not let that happen again. But what a result for Wraith Rovers. Other results yesterday, as I said, Airdrie 2, Arbroath 0. Airdrie getting the goals after 90 minutes from Liam McStravick and a 70-minute goal from Lewis McGregor. Inverness, they've had a bit of a renaissance under Duncan Ferguson. Really good win yesterday, and they've got again one of the best players in the championship for me, David Witherspoon, who scored 2 goals yesterday. And a penalty from Billy Mackay. Billy Mackay again, a really good striker for that level. I know it's a penalty, we've still got to score it. So Billy Mackay doing what he does best, scoring goals at that level. So I just think the Championship, again, is such a competitive league. You've also got Partick Thistle, who beat Morton 2-1 yesterday. Goals from Kerr McInroy and Blair Alston. Grant Gillespie with a goal back from Morton. But you look at the league table as it stands at the moment, and we have... Get my notes up here. So you've got the league table at the moment. It's Dundee United on top on 31 points. Wraith Rovers sitting in second on 27 points. Partick Thistle sitting third on 22 points. Airdrie sitting fourth on 17 points. Dunfermline in fifth on 14 points. Ayr in sixth on 14 points. Queen's Park sitting seventh on 13 points. Inverness eighth on 12 points. Arbroath in ninth on 12 points. And Morton in very last place on 8 points. We've got about 15 minutes left on the show. Let's get some more comments coming in here. Happy House says debt is not an issue for the Rangers, and Happy House says Johnson should re-sign Witherspoon. I thought he might have done, to be honest, because Witherspoon is again too good for that level. He's a really good footballer, and I think he'd do a good job at St Johnstone. But again, for that level, getting a guy like Double Witherspoon in the Championship is a great signing for them. It really is, and I think Duncan Ferguson done a good job so far. What I would like to see though is a bit more consistency. But again, you look at that league table, and there's 6 points between Dunfermline in 5th and Morton in last. There's not a lot in there. You know, there's if a team can just get a run together, they could be right up there. But I'm looking at the top 2, and I'm looking at Dundee United and Wraith, and they're pulling away from everyone else. It's so competitive in that league. As Lino says, big gaps in the Championship at the top. Unusual. There is a bit of a gap in that top of the Championship. But honestly, I look at Morton and think they're not adrift yet. They're only 4 points off Arbroath, who are sadly sinking a bit. I've said before on the show, and I think me and Michael spoke about this before. I love Dick Campbell, but is he going to keep Arbroath up this season? It's going to be very difficult. They look like they're struggling a little bit. Another defeat yesterday. But again, 1 or 2 wins in the back at the league table. So it's so tight in there. But I just think at the moment, I look at that league table and I think United are going to win the league, I think, quite comfortably. You look at it's the top 4. So the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place get that playoff place. At the moment, I'm looking at it thinking Wraith, Partick and Airdrie. Can it stay that way, or will anyone else break into that? Potentially Dunfermline. Potentially Ayr United doesn't get a few wins together. But I think that top 4 might be the same as it is for the rest of the season. But United will win the group. United will win the league quite comfortably, I think. But I'm going to go to the games that are coming up after the international break. So we've got the Saturday games. Celtic against Motherwell. Dundee against Kilmarnock, and St Mirren against Livingston. And then obviously on the Sunday you've got Aberdeen against Rangers, which is a huge game. But I look at those fixtures and I think, for me, I would worry for Livingston. I would worry for probably Motherwell, and I'd worry as well for Aberdeen. Because although I think they've got a chance against Rangers, if they lose that game and results go against them, they could be really struggling. But I'm going to look at the games as a whole. So Aberdeen against Rangers on the 12 o'clock game on the Sunday. Rangers off the back of a very comfortable win today. Aberdeen have got to bounce back after an absolute hammering by Celtic. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anyone thought Aberdeen would go there today and get anything. But it's the way they lost. Because that could have been more. And the fact that, again, I thought their heads dropped at 3-0 down, and that's never a good sign. So I do worry for Aberdeen. But, Rangers are going to that game probably very confident. But Pittodrie's not an easy place to go. Aberdeen, a lot of folk have made the joke that Aberdeen only play 4 times a season against Rangers. They'll hope that's the case this time. But I think that could be a difficult game to call. I think because it's a Pittodrie, this could potentially be Philip Clement's toughest game so far this season until they play against Celtic. But Aberdeen have to respond. They've got to respond after this game today. I'm sure that Barry Robson will be... He probably won't be too critical of his team today. I wouldn't have thought, because they're playing against Celtic. He'll be disappointed at the defensive display, I think, at times. But I don't think he'll be too overly bothered about that today, because, again, against Pauk, they were excellent. I just think today is one of these games that it was not a good day for Aberdeen, but there'll be bigger tests to come, and I think against Rangers that'll be a really difficult game. But obviously when we do the show on the Friday in a couple of weeks' time, we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's a massive game. Celtic Motherwell, I worry for Motherwell. I really do. And if my colleague's team is watching this, I do worry for you. Because like I said, you've now only won. You're 9 without a win, and you've lost 7. It's not looking great, and worryingly, you're not keeping clean sheets. And again, you're not scoring enough goals. I think you're relying very much on Mika Bireth, who's a very good player, don't get me wrong. He's a very talented player, but you need more from players around him. The likes of Theo Bair, the likes of Connor Wilkinson, you need more goals. And again, maybe from midfield as well. Blair Spittle can chip in with goals, but he's been not done enough of that. So I do worry for Motherwell going to Celtic Park. Because the Celtic play they did today, that could be another 6, to be honest. And I worry for Motherwell, but Celtic again looked very, very good today. Very, very, I think they were just clinical. They were very clinical. They scored the goals at the right time. And like I said, you look at that squad, and if Kyogo's out, you bring in a guy like O, and he scores goals. Now, I kind of said to Michael, I think on one of the chats we did on Friday, is O an upgrade on Giakoumakis? I personally think he is. Yes, Giakoumakis is very physical, but I think O looks a better player, all-round player. Physically, I think he's got a bit more pace about him as well, and he looks really composed from front of goal, as he showed with that goal at the end there, when he's going through on goal and you never thought he was going to miss. So yeah, I think O is a bit of an upgrade for me on Giakoumakis, but Celtic look very, very strong, so I think they'll win that comfortably. Dundee against Hibs, I think that's a hard one to call, because I do think that Dundee, like I said, were very good yesterday. And I think if they win the home games, they're going to give us a chance of doing well this season. Livingston have the worst record, lost all 5 games. You're going to get to that in a minute. But Dundee at home, I think they'll fancy that against Hibs. Hibs on the road have not been overly impressive. So I think Dundee should fancy that. And I think if Dundee can get 3 points in that game, what a massive, massive win that would be. And if Hearts were to somehow drop points to St Johnstone, which won't happen, hopefully, then you could be sitting there even fourth in the league. So it's a massive, massive game. As Lino says, Motherwell will stay up, I think, but they may be in a relegation fight. I'll reassess whether in a new year. And that's the thing. I thought this season Motherwell will do really well. And I think at the start they were doing, but now they are really struggling. They can't win games. They're losing too many goals. Like I say, yesterday, they're very poor against Hearts. I know that Stephen said that himself. So I worry for Motherwell. But I think probably the time to look at these, I think probably the time to look at teams like that is maybe after the year. Assess where they are after the year and assess where they are after the January transfer window. Because if they can bring in a few more players in January, they might be all right. But yeah, I do worry for Motherwell just now, but I'm worried more about Livingston. Because like I said, they look very poor. But that Dundee Hibs game, it is so tight. I think Dundee, and I'm not saying this to be biased, I fancy Dundee for that at home, because Hibs are not great on the road under Nick Montgomery so far. So I think Dundee could easily sneak that. And like I say, you've got guys like the threat like Bakayoko and Zach Rudden. If you can keep it tight defensively, then I think you've got a chance. Gregor says, I think we could scrape a win against Hibs. I do as well. I genuinely do. I'm impressed with Dundee. I think where I can see where Nick Montgomery is trying to come from with the team, but he's not quite got it there yet. And I do think they are reliant on Martin Boyle. Like I said, I think they're far too reliant on him. So yeah, I think they've got a chance, Dundee. I think they could easily win that game. Hearts against St Johnstone. It has to be 3 points for Hearts. It has to be. We're at home. I think St Johnstone will come and be very hard to beat. I think they'll sit in and try to hit the counter-attack. That's what Craig Levein will like to do, I think. But I think this is a game that Hearts have to win. We've got to be in the front foot. We've got to be pressing. I would like to see us keep the formation that we played yesterday. I'd like to see us keep probably the same team as well, injuries permitting. But the one thing that I'm excited about after the break, now I don't know if it'll be the St Johnstone game or the game after, but we are going to have Craig Gordon back, Craig Halkett back, and we're going to have Barry Mackay back. They are 3 massive players for Hearts, and I think they've been missed. So I'm delighted that we're going to get them back after the break. Whether it'll be the St Johnstone game, I don't know. But I'm delighted that they're going to be back after the break, because they are so important to Hearts. And if we can get them back fit, we could have a decent season this season, Naismith or not. But it's a game that we should be winning at home at Tynecastle. We've not done well enough at home this season, for me. We've dropped points we shouldn't have dropped. So this is a big, big game. And we have to build on that result yesterday. We have to then beat teams like St Johnstone. And after that, we then play Kilmarnock away. So we've got to be winning these games. Because December is horrible. Because we play Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, and potentially Aberdeen. So yeah, massive, massive. As Lino says, do you expect Gordon to just walk back into the first team at Hearts? Honestly, yes, I do. Now, I think Xander Clark has done a very good job. I know that a lot of Hearts fans are not convinced by him. I think Clark has done a really good job. But when you've got a guy like Craig Gordon, who for me is one of the best keepers I've seen at Hearts in a long, long time, when he's back fit, then for me, he has to come straight back in. he just brings that leadership that I don't think Clark brings, and I think he brings that composure that I don't think Clark brings. So for me, as soon as Gordon is back, he's straight back in for me. And if so, does he get the Scotland jersey again? That is more difficult because I don't think Angus Gunn's done a lot wrong. I'd like to see Craig Gordon back in, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if he'd come straight back into the Scotland squad. I think if you're Craig Gordon, know what you want to be in, you want to be in that squad for the Euros, because this is probably his last chance. You know, he's in his 40s now, he's not getting younger. So you'll want to be in that squad for the Euros. I think he will be, but it's probably his jersey to fight for now. I don't think Angus Gunn's done a lot wrong, so it might be harsh to drop him. But in terms of Hearts, there's no doubt for me that as soon as he's fit, he comes straight back into that team. No doubt in my mind at all. Ross Kent against Kilmarnock. This is a tough one to call because, again, Ross Kent are not in any real form just now. They've not won in 8 games, as I mentioned earlier on. This is a tough one. But they're up against Kilmarnock that doesn't win away from home. They've only won 2 games in 24 away from home. So this is a tough one. Ross County have got to bounce back. You know, Kill have got to bounce back as well after yesterday. But Ross County at home, Dingwall can be a hard place to go, especially for teams like Kilmarnock. This is a tough one for me. But I think just because Kilmarnock don't travel well, I think Ross County might sneak this. It'll be tight. I think it might be 1 goal in it. But I just think if Ross County can get Dandot on the ball, create chances for like Eamon Brophy and Jordan White, then I think they've got enough there to win that game. But it's going to be very tight. And Kilmarnock, like I said, don't win away from home. So that's a worry for me. And the final game, St Mirren against Livingston. You were delighted I'm going to say this, Azalino, because I don't see anything other than a St Mirren win uncomfortably. Because I've not been impressed with Livingston at all. It's now 5 games in a row without a win, which is the first time since the 2000 and I actually wrote it down somewhere. The first time since the 2005-06 season that they've failed to win 5 games in a row or lost 5 games in a row, which is crazy. But they just don't look. They've got no confidence. They don't have any goal scorers in the team. Like I said, they've got Joe Nubley, they've got Stephen Bradley, they've got Curtis Guthrie, and they've got Bruce Anderson. They're not going to score enough goals, and that's my worry for them. Whereas St Mirren will look to bounce back, obviously, after yesterday's disappointing defeat. And I think this is the best game for them to come back to. If you could handpick any game to play after the international break, I think it's Livingston at home. Because Livingston are dreadful. They really are. When most teams, you can see an identity and the way they want to play. I don't see that with Livingston. They just look so poor and lacking of confidence. So I don't see anything other than a comfortable St Mirren victory by 3 or 4 goals, if I'm going to be honest. But yeah, that's just about the end of the show. So I've got about 2 minutes to go. Thank you for all your comments today, by the way. It's been much appreciated because when you're doing the show on your own, it's very hard. Just try and do the show, try and read the comments, try and produce it, try and look at the game that's happening as well at the same time as well. So thank you to all your comments, guys. It's much appreciated. We always enjoy the comments that come in, and you guys basically make this show. If you don't comment, it's very difficult. So you guys make the show, and it's much appreciated for the comments that we get and the positivity we get and the feedback we get. So thank you. Like I say, we are going to be back on Thursday for Georgia against Scotland, probably on at later time at 10 o'clock, but we'll put it in we'll let you know what it is. But we're back on Thursday for Georgia against Scotland. Scotland qualifying for the Euros. And then we're back on next Sunday for Scotland against Norway, the very last game in the group, as Scotland have a party time at Hampden to celebrate Scotland going to Euros. Like I say, thank you for joining me. That's the end of the show. I am going to go now and get a drink because my throat is absolutely killing me. Hope you all have a good week in work, whatever you're doing this week, or at uni, whatever you're doing. Have a great week, and we shall see you again on Thursday. Bye-bye for now.